Welcome back, everybody. Drin608 Plays. I am doing a playthrough of Milestone 2 of Xenonauts2 here. There have been a lot of changes. I'm going to go through them as part of the playthrough. So I'll try to point out all the changes that I remember and see as they come up. There might be some things that I'm not remembering. And I'm sure there will be people that will do detailed videos on exactly what is going on. First thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about our aircraft. In your aircraft, as far as weapons go, the aircraft now don't have like, oh, you can only put missiles on here and guns here. They have a number of slots, hard points they're called. Okay. And then the various weapon systems take up like here, if you put on these plates, they will take up 8 of your armor. They raise your armor by 8. So over here you see that fuel is he's still being refueled. They did give me back all my health, which is nice. And then up here, this is something that we've been talking to them about. It's like, it says +8 armor, but it doesn't show you any percentages here. So it really should be showing you that your armor is up. Because like your armor here is 0 of 8. So it's going to be rebuilding as you go, I guess. This is the only weapon system you have, which is the autocannon. And just like before, they show you how fast it fires, which is the reload time. Destruction of armor, penetration of armor is a 0, damage of 5 total. So a half a point will get through any enemy's armor. And what its range is relative on the air combat screen. Its fire arc, how much ammo, how many shots it has, and it allows you to do evasive rolls. Here they've added a fuel pod. So like you can click on this, you can see that you could make it an empty slot. And then you click on it again, and then what can you put in there? You can only have one armor point, so you only get like one. You can't like double armor yourself. And I don't have any extra weapons, so I can't put in an extra weapon. So the only thing I have left to do is fuel pod, and extends the range by 15%. Most of us don't think that that's really worth the time, but it does take up one of your slots. This particular aircraft, starting aircraft, you have 3 slots, but then besides the hard points that it talks about, let's do this. It does say 0 of 4 hard points, but that's not really true. Because like here, this is telling you your weapon, and this is its weight. Weight is going to become important when you're putting up stuff on your airplanes. This weighs 5, this weighs 3, this weighs 1, and this aircraft can only carry a payload of 10. And when you get other weapon systems, they'll have different weights as well, and you might have to like take certain things off to be able to carry different kinds of weapons. Okay? So that's the big thing that's changed here. Now, the Skyhawk is pretty much the same as it's always been. It's just your people, in their assigned roles. Once again, I don't espouse to assaults going out the front. Where's my heavy? This is kind of my standard personal layout for these things. And depending on what these guys' stats are, we'll get to the soldiers here in a second. The Xenopedia still is just sort of like your running thing of information that you know about. And then we get to the armory. This is where we, fit everybody out. Some big changes here. You'll see this thing over here that says heavy armor. And you'll notice he has on what looks like defender armor, but there's no metal plate over here. Done away with that. Now, armor has, like this thing, she has a strong enough strength. He has enough strength here, Mikhail, that I could actually go ahead and hit the heavy armor. It shows how much more weight it takes up, but then you can see that he's got on that heavier armor so he can carry more. And then, of course, this is sort of the standard loadout that they give you. You can tinker with this as you would like. He won't have the strength to carry it. He might. I think he goes over. Yeah, he can carry it. She's definitely got the strength to do it. Your assaults start off that way. They always put your strongest assaults there. Stun baton has become basic equipment now. I don't usually carry it. And you'll see it automatically swaps like that. So I tend to have my assaults carry that. The other thing that you can add now, they have modules. You can actually add a mask. Now it does go in here. It doesn't go on your face. So it does take up space. But since my assaults tend to run, in the smoke to get close with their shotguns, go ahead and do that. And then the other thing I tend to do is I tend to give them more grenades, like a smoke grenade. I can double up on a grenade. I'll probably take 2 smokes, because smoke is important to keep your people alive, as well as it helps stun the enemy. So I usually drop a couple smoke grenades on my assaults as well. Shield guy is pretty much decked out as far as they can go. If you don't think you're going to use a lot, you can get a couple weight back here and then add a grenade, which is what I do. I tend to have them give it a smoke grenade as well. Riflemen are going to be hit and miss each person because based on their, their weight. They've changed these to now being only 1x2s instead of 2x2s. These things used to take up tons of space. Now they only take up a little bit. They are carrying a smoke grenade. They might weight 12. See, that would put them a couple points over. So then you could get rid of the pistol ammunition. And they're going to be at full weight, but now your heavy gunner is in full armor. And then your sniper almost invariably can't wear the heavy armor. So they tend to not go in heavy armor. Their job is to hunker down on a roof somewhere and shoot things. But he does have enough things there that he can take another smoke grenade. Again, smoke is your friend that keeps you alive. So I tend to overload on smoke. When I can. Just because if you're in a bad way, you can drop a smoke grenade and possibly mess up the enemy's shots on you. Okay? Not a very good accurate person, but okay. So that's kind of what you do there. The big thing is that the heavy armor no longer is there, and you can start off with a stun baton if you want. Some people might decide to, what is this way? So I just can't believe that they have a stun baton weighing 12 and the knife weighing 10. And your weapon only weighs 16 loaded. So it's like a stun baton is almost the full weight of a weapon, which just doesn't make a lot of sense. But think of it more as an encumbrance penalty rather than a physical weight of it. It's just like this is cumbersome enough that it's going to take up 12 of your weight capacity. Is the best way to think of it, I guess, is the way I look at it. Anyway, that's the people. You aren't going to have a lot of research. Basically, situational analysis is all you get. And here's where we're going to go into some other things. Remember I told you about how the aircraft, it's all this kind of stuff? Well, these days, notice there's air weapons already. You can build every unit that you want to put on an airplane, whether it's armor or a weapon, you're going to have to build now. Which includes things like sidewinders and the torpedo. I can't remember what they call the torpedoes. But basically the Sidewinders and the torpedoes, you're going to have to build each and every one of them, and if you fire them off, you're going to have stuff in your, pre-built to reload your airplanes. That's a big change. You're going to be draining money away to make stuff, and it all runs right around the 25,000 cost. Now, I am going to go ahead and start building an autocannon because ultimately I'm going to want to build an aircraft. Now the aircraft, I can't build one because I don't have an open hangar to put it in. But you'll notice you've got to build your aircraft from now on. So you don't start with 2 and build a third one. You've got to build even your second one to give you a wing of 2. So that's a big change as well. They have balanced the air combat to account for some of this. They've also added a new UFO type, which is, I think they call it the probe. It's like an unmanned UFO for early in the game because they've expanded the gameplay. So he's going to get busy doing that. And then we go back to the base. And now this is just the way I'm going to do it this time around. We're going to go ahead. We have to build another living quarters, 15 days. Then I go ahead and get that started right away. Then I put in a second lab, and a second workshop, and a hangar. This is not a defensible base. This just flat out, it is not defensible. You've got, from the hangars, they can get in here. You're going to probably build another hangar up here, so they're going to be able to get into all these spaces, which gives them too much chance to get around the corner. If you wanted to, which is what I tend to do, I go ahead and build a storeroom down here so I can get rid of this one. And then over here I'll build a couple generators so I can get rid of this. And that lets me build out my hangars around the corners here. Is it a good thing to do? Probably not. I am building an extra stores because I think your missiles go into stores, if I remember right. Anyway, we're at 12 minutes. That's kind of the changes. You have to spend a little more money to get your base up and functioning. You can see I'm already used up almost all my stuff. One of the things, we'll go out to the Geoscape, and we're just going to show you about constructing a new base. I don't really want to do this, but you can place, when you see the 3 rings, it's like the inner ring is 1 radar, the outer ring is 2, and the furthest one out is having 3 radars. So if I just go like this, you can see that when I get to 3 radars, I cover almost all of Europe, except for a little bit of Iceland, almost all of Africa, just the southern tip is not covered, well into Russia, the Soviet Union, and into Asia, as well as covering all of Europe. So that's pretty good for your first base. You're covering like parts of 4 regions. Almost all of Europe, almost all of Africa, and a good portion of Asia and Soviet Union. Your second base probably should be placed over here in the U.S., either somewhere in the U.S. here, because you want to try to cover as much of North America as you can, and you do want to get to some of South America. So I tend to build it somewhere down here in Texas, Louisiana, to give that coverage. You could do like I did there and do this, but you don't cover that much of North America. North America is a big contributor. Latin America is somewhat. You'll cover like all of Mexico from down in here, and a good portion once you get 3 radars up of South America. It could become problematic. You can also try to do the, build one to cover basically North America and build another one in South America, and so on and so forth, and try to cover each of the continents with a base. You do have 6 bases, you do have 6 regions, so you could drop a base in every region. It's prohibitively expensive. And in the funding report, get out of that. Funding report is kind of the same. They aren't going to show you, this is what everybody's giving you right now, what your current expenses are. And then this is, after the first month, you'll see how much you get. Okay. So you can see North America, Soviet Union are each 500. Europe and Asia Pacific are 450. Latin America and Africa are 400,000. So obviously the big ones you want to keep a hold of is North America, Soviet Union. And by putting mine in Europe, I can influence Soviet, Asia, Europe, and Africa. So I can influence 4 regions. Throw another one in North America, you have influence at least in all the regions. Later on, if you want to build a third base, you probably build it like over here so it covers the rest of the Soviet Union and a lot of Asia Pacific because they're the next ones up that cover a lot of the money. Okay? That's all kind of a strategic, what do you want to do kind of thing. All right, we're going to go ahead and just speed this up. And then you get this. This is going to happen here on day 1. You're going to get a mission that says, you must temporarily clear out enemies of the Atlas base, which is where we were defending in the tutorial, so we can recover scientific data and supplies we need to continue the war against the aliens. Notice, I did not have any chance to get anything up. I didn't get extra people or anything of that nature. I didn't get extra weapons built or anything like that. I didn't get any research done. This comes up right away. Now, this is very important to realize this. What are you going to get? You're going to get new research options. Trust me, you're going to need them. They include things like missiles for your airplanes. Okay? The loss effects, and this is very important, this was never here before. Loss effects is, if you don't do this within the next 3 days, it's game over. So you must do this mission and you must succeed. I don't necessarily agree with that philosophy to give me a game over situation on day 1 of my gameplay. Like I said, if you have never played one of these games before or anything like it, you definitely want to try and go through this on the easy mode because you have a game over event as your very first mission. So think about that as you're going forward, okay? So we're going to show mission briefing. So then they go into, we left behind stuff, and since their assault teams have run away, they're lightly armed. Eliminate all hostile units within this so we can reclaim what we need to continue the war. Eliminate all that, and you lose if you lose all your guys. Okay? Now you can launch the combat team immediately, or you can just say close. It's going at 5 seconds, and you can go check your guys out. Okay? And one of the things you can do is you can kind of look over here and say, like, was it Jack Wood? No, who's the... Alright, so Lucas here doesn't have a real lot of strength to put on that heavier armor. So you can go check your people, the people that you have. This guy has a strength of 55, 66, and 42. So this guy wouldn't be able to carry much either. So you kind of have to make decisions on who's going to go where. Igor Volkov is fairly well equipable. So one of the things we can do is we can go in here and we can grab this person and just say unassign them. And then we go back in here and it was Vic Igor, right? No. Was it Igor? And we can go ahead and take Igor and assign him to the Skyhawk. Notice how all this stuff is grayed out. This is like when you put him in the Skyhawk, this is the equipment he's going to take. This is kind of important to remember. When you're in here in the barracks, these guys really don't have these weapons. So like if you have everybody armored, later on you get like laser rifles. You have everybody armored with a laser rifle, but you only have 4 because you only ever take 4 laser guys with you. And you have a bunch of people assigned as laser riflemen. It will show what they will look like if they get in the airplane, but you won't actually have the weapon on him until you get in the airplane. I'm not sure what that does with the base assignment. I think it tries to assign out everybody in the aircraft first, and then any spares you have, they'll give to everybody else, or they'll default to something else, or you have to reset them to a different build. So, well, we're going to go ahead and put him in the Skyhawk. Now, if you go back to the Skyhawk and go find Igor, notice he did not get the heavy armor. So I'm going to go ahead and put that on him. Now he has room to be able to pick up a couple grenades. So what we're going to do is we're going to give him another smoke grenade. And because he has the capacity, I'm actually going to give him a flashbang as well. Because he has the ability to carry it. Other people didn't really have that. He doesn't have any room for extra grenades. They could if they wanted to go over by a point. And this one picked up an extra grenade. Alright. So that's kind of the way we are. And then basically you would just go back out here and you would click on this, left click on it, brings it back up. You see I've spent an hour of game time messing around when I was showing you things. So what we're going to do is we're going to launch our combat team there. And again, I'm trying to keep these down to 20 minutes because the combats always take much longer. So I'm not going to go and start the combat until next time. We will fly there, and when we come back, I will show you what your setup is, and then we'll go through the first mission here, which is game over if I lose. So keep that in mind. You have to make sure that you win this very first mission. All right? Okay. So, if you like what you see, hit the thumbs up button. You really like to see, go ahead and subscribe. Hit the notify bell. Be notified, upload videos into scheduled streams. I am doing a series here, like you can see on Xenonauts2. I have an ongoing series for a game called Kenshi. I have another one going for Battletech, which was a game I picked up, got like 3-4 months ago. It was a birthday present from one of my sons who wanted me to play that. Kenshi was a birthday present from another son who said, and it was much earlier birthday. He said, just consider it your early birthday present. He wanted to play Kenshi. So my sons are like, hey, do videos on these. And I'm like, well, I don't own those games. And they're like, you do now. So they went out to Steam, bought me games, and said, here, Dad, now you don't have an excuse. Gotta go play the games. So I've got games that I'm doing because of that. I also have a stream I do on Saturday mornings from the old Kingmaker from Owlcat Games. That was a sort of a fan-driven one where they named the kingdom, they picked the character I was going to play. I gave them a choice of a couple, and then the subplot for that particular one is that the main character is trying to romance a specific companion. So it's rather entertaining to go through things like that when the community comes out and asks me to do things like that. So when we come back, we will be at the base, Atlas base, trying to recover it. All right. I'm Gun608. Until we meet again, stay safe and bye-bye.